This pleasing mix of metal, rubber and plastic is called the Lexus LC 500, and it's designed to make people think of the brand as less Alan Partridge and more Mark Ronson. Nothing since the LFA supercar has been as exciting, but is it anywhere near as good?
So the plan was to do a full review of the Lexus LC 500 and the 500h, which is the hybrid version. I'm in the V8 right now. Sadly, this has been more of a lifestyle focused trip, so we've done lots of activities, and it's been quite difficult to get some alone time with this car. So instead of the full review, which we'll do in the UK when the car comes back and we've had more time with it, I thought I'd just talk about some of the things that I really like about it, and some of the things that I don't like quite so much. Now, the first thing that I love about this car is how it looks. It is very striking. Driving around, a lot of people who aren't familiar with cars or we've just met along the way have said that it reminds them of the i8 to BMW, and I can see that. There's something very sleek, very futuristic about it. It's very aggressive. It's got that kind of shark front end, which is becoming a Lexus trademark. It's nice. It's a pretty car.
Another thing I like is the V8, which kicks out 470 brake horsepower.
You need the V8 because it's just so much nicer to listen to. Now the hybrid version revs very highly. It's got a 10-speed auto, but it's still very which, you know, if you gun it all the time, it's going to be annoying. If you don't and you're more worried about the environment, fine, you'll put up with it.
I say auto because the 500h uses a multi-stage shift device. Basically, Lexus has used a mixture of a 4-speed box and a CVT to make it behave more like a traditional automatic.
Another thing I like is the interior, and I didn't think I'd say that because Lexus, or Lexi, normally look very good on the outside, but on the inside, the craftsmanship's there, don't get me wrong. The quality, from what I've seen, is good, but they're just not too aesthetically pleasing. There's a bit of it's more Infiniti than Mercedes, if you know what I mean. But this, though, has, you still know it's a Lexus, but it's a little bit softer in the eye. It feels a touch classier. And obviously when you're spending 77,000 plus, you want the car to make you feel special.
You also get the LFA's sliding metallic dial, which moves to reveal another display. It's an unnecessary touch, but it's the sort of thing that makes the interior a lot more interesting.
And the LFA, of course, was 300,000 plus. That's assuming, well, that was back then. Good luck trying to get one now for that. Whereas this is a quarter of the price, around about. So to be compared between the two means that this car is doing something very right. Another positive is the ride quality. It's definitely erring on the side of sporty as opposed to comfortable, but then Grand Tourers do have to do quite long miles and make you feel relaxed. And this particular car has the Sport Plus package. It's got rear wheel steering, it's got some carbon fibre, and these seats are more sculpted. And for my relatively thin frame, it's holding me in nicely. If you're fat, wouldn't get these at all. But overall, it's for a car that's meant to be really quite fast and exciting. There is a very comfortable edge. It's still that Lexus glide kind of feel, and that's good if you've owned a Lexus before and you want a car that's smooth and easy to drive and slightly uninvolving, then the LC will tick the box. With that said, it does have some touches that jazz up the experience a bit. So one of them, when you really gun it in the Sport Plus mode, the gears change very clunkily. It's a heavy, like, physical mechanical noise, and you can feel it through the car. And in other Lexuses or Lexi, you'd probably just be like, I don't want this, let's get rid of that, that's annoying. But in this, it just adds to the drama. Yeah, she does go some. Now I will say the flip side of the Lexus experience is the steering. You just don't know what the front wheels are doing. I feel like a stuck record where I keep saying this. That's not to say it's not poised or grippy or able to inspire, you know, higher cornering speeds, but in terms of how it translates what's going on at the front to you, it's not so good. And I guess some people will like that, some people will dislike it. But again, it is a Grand Tourer though, so it's going to focus more on being relaxed than it is setting you on fire.
Another positive that stems from the way it looks is the reaction from onlookers is really strong. I mean, this is a bright yellow car, so what do you expect? But it looks so striking. It's got this loud, in-your-face, punch-in-the-retina aesthetic that makes people dribble a bit.
Because if you're buying a loud car, a sporty car, you do want to be a little bit posy. I don't mean that in a shallow way. I mean, it's quite nice to enjoy the finer things, and the finer things should look good, or they should make you feel happy. You should walk away from this kind of car and look back and smile. And for me, that's always a little benchmark. And it doesn't have to be an expensive car. Even some little super minis, you kind of think, yeah, I've had fun, this was cool, I enjoyed it. And this car has that. Now, I will say the gears, there's a very long wait before it picks up. So here we are, doing about 60 kilometers an hour, foot down. I mean, it's not bad, and it jumps down very quickly, but it's just, there's that momentary lag. But that's okay, because you've got paddles, and if you can ever be asked to do that, I tend to not unless I'm on a track, then you have complete control. And obviously the sport mode heightens the throttle as well, firms everything up, just makes it a generally snappier experience, which undoes some of that slightly befuddly gearbox action. I don't think befuddly is a word if I'm honest, but we'll go with it. Now, I didn't drive the Lexus RCF very much. Rory Reid had that when he was working with us, and he enjoyed the car, he liked it, and why wouldn't you like a V8 that looks cool? But I had the standard RC, and it was a bit form over function. It's not, the engines aren't great, the ride's okay, it looks lovely though, but everything else is just not quite up there with its rivals. But this feels like an actual competitor to some of the cars it's got to go up against.
You could accuse the rear-wheel drive LC500 of being more subdued than it should be, but there is something quietly confident about it that keeps you interested.
And because the V8 engine sounds nice and it offers around 4.5 seconds 0 to 62, it's got enough punch to give you those moments of, you know, where you want the acceleration, you want the excitement. But I guess unlike other Lexus luxury, you have to remember that you want more than just the looks, and that car does this. The V8 sounds lovely, the looks are fantastic, it's fast enough to fit how it looks, whereas the RC just couldn't punch itself out of a wet paper bag. And then when something looks like a shark and it acts like a Mini, it's a little bit weird.
If you're expecting the precision of a Porsche, you're going to be disappointed. But then I can see people buying this car for the looks alone.
It's always difficult on these launches to really gauge what the car's like there, because these are roads I don't know. I always use particular routes because I can relate to suspension. I have a kind of benchmark that allows me to compare cars, but I don't have that here. The road's very smooth, it's very hot. There are lots of things that are different, and my mood's probably different because I've been staying in a ridiculous hotel. That's not to say I would be any less scrupulous, but how the car is portrayed has been altered. So I'm interested to see what this car is like when you don't have constant sunshine. I love this. You come all this way to drive a really cool car and you get stuck in traffic. It's just amazing. One of my faves. Well, I guess I can talk about the fact that it's a very quiet car. It's easy to drive. It's got that Tesla-esque go, stop, that's it, nothing else. Steering's easy. Quite light. Visibility is actually surprisingly good, although that rear window is a bit pokey, but the mirrors are big. This kind of panoramic windscreen type thing is nice. There's absolutely no reason why you'd struggle in this car. However, just as I said that, over the back there, yeah, that's not so good. So maybe just don't go on motorways.
So how well has the LC500 done? Well, the 346 brake horsepower hybrid and its 3.5 litre V6 is great if you want to save polar bears, spend less on fuel, and it's only 0.3 slower to 60 than the V8. But then, do you really want the Ford Mustang EcoBoost of the range?
Which is why the V8 is the one I would get. It's just, the drama is louder, it's noisier, it makes life easier for Lexus to make their cars more involving. So why you wouldn't buy it, I have no idea. And that's because both cars are the same price, which is a weird move for Lexus. I imagine people would pay 5-10 grand more, but they said nope. Both are the same, you get to choose. And unofficially, the V8 has been way more popular in terms of orders. They wouldn't say exactly how much, but I'm not surprised. This is Jack's lack of surprise face because, yeah, it's a V8. Just get the V8. Try both by all means, but then realise that the V8 is the one you should get.
It's too early to say whether I would choose the LC500 over its rivals, but it really has left me wanting more, which is half the battle.